like there's definitely time. This is a two-part question. So sometimes, why is it so easy for us as an individual to lie? Shouldn't it be harder to lie? Shouldn't we feel, I don't know, some guilt or, it just should feel wrong. So why does it feel so easy to lie? But then also, why is it that sometimes lying is the easier option? We can all imagine that situation where it's easier to lie than tell the truth. It makes things easier for us, gets us out of an awkward situation, or, you know, doesn't lead to an argument, whatever it may be. May Let's see. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe you have a young child and they want another cookie. And instead of telling them, no, you've already had three, you don't need another one. And then, them, please, please, I'm so hungry. I just need one more cookie. It's just easier to tell them, sorry, we're all out. Yep, ran out. No, none left. Can't do anything about it. It's just easier. But why? Why is that the case? So, I want to tell a little story. And this is something that's happened to me in the past month. Um, Recently, we switched to a new internet service provider, and we also switched pest controls. Um, we've had these old ones for a while, but um, we just decided to go with something different, better offers, all that stuff. And I have been dreading, ever since we switched, calling to cancel the old ones because there's no easy option. You can't just go online and click a button and boop, now you're done. It's never that simple. Because and think about it from the business perspective. They want to keep you as a customer. I mean, bottom line, that's why they make it so difficult. Whether it's a lower cost or making the process extremely difficult, they want to keep you on as a customer. Maybe they'll offer you some new deal and I don't know. But they will do whatever it takes to keep you as a customer. And that can be pretty frustrating. Um, First call I made was to our internet. I was dreading this and I wanted so badly to lie. I wanted to tell them something like, we're moving soon and, uh, well, the new place that we're moving to, the internet's already included. It's free to us. So, I mean, why do we need your internet? Um, I wanted so badly to lie because that would be a 3-minute conversation. That would just be like, oh, yeah, there's nothing for us to do. We'll close the account. I knew it would be so much easier to lie, right? How do you counter, oh, your new place offers internet for free? Yeah, we'll pay you to have our internet. That's not going to happen. So I really wanted to do that. Um, Telling them the truth wouldn't be as easy. Telling them, yeah, this other company, they offered a better deal, um, better service, so we decided to switch. That's then going to lead to 1,000 different questions, probably being transferred to 3 different people, and take up 30 minutes of your time. And in this situation, I already made up my mind. The new service was already installed. I hadn't used the internet for like 2 weeks at that point. So, um, and you know, then you try to rationalize it in your mind. This person really doesn't care. The person that I'm talking to, they really don't care if I'm a customer. They're just trying to do their job. And, you know, maybe they need me to come up with a really good excuse so they can keep their job or they can meet some quota. Because if you just tell them, yeah, I'm switching service, well, then it's on them to try to convince you otherwise. So maybe I need to lie so this person can keep their job. Makes sense, right? Perfectly rational. Yeah, rationalize. You can. it is amazing what we can use our brains for just to make our lives a little bit easier. And honestly, I don't know if this person would be negatively impacted by me telling the truth and just sticking firm and saying, no, 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 please cancel my account. I don't know if that would impact them at all. But it's easy to rationalize things and say, no, this person needs me to. They need me to, come up with this elaborate lie so that way they can put in their little notes. Yeah, nothing we can do. So before we get to the end of that story and what I did, let's talk about lying and let's look at some examples. So what does the Bible say about lying? It says that it's good. Sorry, that was a lie. Well, let's start very early on. Exodus 20. This is in verse 16. It is in the Ten Commandments, basically. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Now, that's an elaborate way of putting it. And in the literal sense, what it is referring to here is basically if you are called in front of a judge, and we see this elaborated on later, but if you are called in front of a judge as a witness in some case, do not give false testimony. Say what you know. Don't exaggerate. Don't lie. Um, don't spread false reports. And it goes on here in Exodus 23, verses 1 through 3. Do not spread false reports. Do not help a guilty person by being a malicious witness. Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd, and do not show favoritism to a poor person in a lawsuit. So, what's it saying? Basically, in a literal sense, it's saying don't throw somebody under the bus or, I don't know, donkey drawn wagon. So, whatever they had back in those days. Don't don't lie in a judicial setting because of a personal vendetta. Maybe, this person lets their dog out and they poop in your yard. Or maybe it's your best friend and, sure, they're guilty, but do you really want them to go to jail or, in many cases, be put to death? So, maybe just throw in a little fib here, help them, help them get a slap on the wrist or something like that. I mean, that's not too bad, right? Wrong. It's saying do not give false testimony. That's one of the 10 commandments and kind of a no-no. But if we interpret this more broadly, what the spirit of the law or the commandment is, don't lie. It's as simple as that. So, I was supposed to come up one at a time. Oh well. So we see in Exodus 20, don't give false testimony, or broadly, don't lie. We also see in Proverbs 12, verse 22, the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy. The Lord detests lying lips. Pretty strong case against lying. Let's look at another one. Colossians 3, verse 9. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices. Now, this is, it's broadly saying just do not lie. A few more. Revelations 21, verse 8. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. All liars. Not just the big liars, not just those that constantly lie. All liars. Even if it's a little tiny one. It doesn't say it has to be a big lie. All liars. Another one, Ephesians 4, verse 25. Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. Don't lie, especially to your Christian brother. You don't need to lie, you need to be truthful. Pretty easy, it seems, right? Another one, and this one is probably my favorite. John 8, chapter 8, verse 44. Now, in this, some Jews are trying to rebuke Jesus and call him a false prophet, like, you're not part of God. We follow the one true God, the God of Israel, and all this stuff. Jesus comes back and says, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native tongue, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Satan is the father of lies. So, what do y'all think the Bible says about lying? Don't do it. It's of the devil. If you lie, you are speaking in the devil's native language. Pretty harsh words. There are so many examples of lying being despised, called one of the things that God absolutely hates. I can't remember which verse it is, but I had a lot to go off of. Even here in the last example, Jesus says that lying is the native tongue of the devil and that Satan is the father of lies. That is strong condemnation of lying. But what if it's like really awkward if you tell the truth? Be awkward. So those are more like, okay, don't lie. Lying's bad. What are some, and I hope y'all can read that. What are some examples of consequences of lying? The biggest one would be Acts chapter 5. We see how much God hates lying, especially when it's to him or someone doing the work that he set them out to do. So let's read that. Acts chapter 5, verse 1 through 6. Now a man named Ananias, together with his wife Sapphira, also sold a piece of property. With his wife's full knowledge, he kept back part of the money for himself, but brought the rest and put it at the apostles' feet. Then Peter said, Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept for yourself some of the money that you received for the land? Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? And after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied to human beings, but to God. When Ananias heard this, he fell down and died, and great fear seized all who had heard what happened. Then some young men came forward, wrapped his body, and carried him out and buried him. Let's continue. Verse 7 through 11. About 3 hours later, his wife came in. Not knowing what had happened, Peter asked her, Tell me, is this the price you and Ananias got for the land? Yes, she said, that is the price. Peter said to her, How could you conspire to test the Spirit of the Lord? Listen, the feet of the men who buried your husband are at the door, and they will carry you out also. At that moment, she fell down at his feet and died. Then the young men came in, and finding her dead, carried her out and buried her beside her husband. Great fear seized the whole church and all who heard about this event. They had no reason to lie other than self-gratification. Like Peter says, you could have said, here's what we could spare. We just sold this land. Here's 80% of it. They would have been happy. But no, trying to go above and beyond, like, yes, we sold the land. Here is every last penny of it. We even threw in a little bit extra that we had sitting aside. That's what did them in. And as Peter says, you're not lying to Peter. You're not lying to these disciples. You were lying to God when you did this. So God doesn't look very highly on lying, does he? At the same time, there are a few examples where we see lying kind of being accepted, I guess you could say. So, examples where it was kind of okay to lie. We have Shiphrah and Puah. This is Exodus 1, 17 through 20. But the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but let the male children live. So this is the king of Egypt is calling for all male children born of the Jewish slaves to be killed as soon as they're born. These midwives, they disobey that order. So the king of Egypt called the midwives, and he said to them, why have you done this, and let the male children live? The midwives said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwife comes in. So God dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied. So God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very strong. And it says earlier that these midwives feared God. So, I mean, they lied to the king of Egypt, right? And it says here at the end that God was dealt well with them. We can interpret that as God was pleased with their actions, right? So we're good to lie, right? I mean, absolutely. That's our pastor right there, guys. So feel free to lie. Another example. This is Rahab. Joshua 2, verses 4 and 6. This is after spies have been in Rahab's house, and I don't know who it was, but yeah. But the woman had taken the two men and hidden them. She said, this is when people come to her house asking for the spies, basically, to be turned over to them. But the woman had taken and hidden the two men. She said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them. But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. So she lied. And there's a few examples. I think it's Hebrews, where because of this action, it basically says that she showed faith. She showed faith and was rewarded by not being killed later on when they came through and ransacked the city. She lied. There's a few things that these two examples have in common. First, lives were on the line if they didn't lie. So it's not, it'd be awkward if I didn't lie here. I'd have to have a 30-minute conversation if I didn't lie. It was, okay, if I tell the truth here, people are going to die. And another thing is, through these lies, God's will was able to be done. Me lying to some customer service person isn't going to allow God's will to be done, right? It's not going to result in lives being saved by me lying. So the only examples we really have where lying is somewhat tolerated is when the stakes are very, very high. Not just some minor inconvenience, but lives. And if this wasn't, I mean, Moses wouldn't have been, I mean, he would have been born, but he wouldn't have lived, and these spies would have been killed. And, you know, it, there was a purpose behind these lies. So let's go back to the story. I call, I'm on the phone trying to cancel my account. And I was completely, brutally honest with them about why I wanted to cancel my account. I told them I already had another internet service, and then that internet service offered a better deal. And when they countered with an offer, I told them I wasn't interested and kept holding on until the account was canceled. I looked at my phone records. It was over a 20-minute call. It was awkward. Made me feel uncomfortable. But I did it. This isn't me trying to brag. Honestly, I was kind of curious. I was already having this thought in my head about like a sermon, and I wanted to see if I'm not holding back just how long things were going to be. I even said things that I didn't have to disclose, like who the new internet service was being provided by, what speeds we were getting, how much we were paying, all this stuff. I did not have to do that. I just wanted to see what would happen. And kind of, just a little experiment. 20 plus minutes. And I'm pretty sure if I would have lied, it would have been 3 minutes and a lot less awkward. So what do we do instead of lying? Because that's an extreme example. Like I said, I disclosed things that I didn't have to. I completely brutally honest. So what can we do instead of lying? Tell the truth the best way you can. Just because you tell the truth doesn't mean you have to spill every single detail about it. You don't have to go into great lengths explaining why you want to cancel this account or anything like that. And if you are in a position where you feel like you need to lie because the truth is just too hard, it's going to be awkward, uh, inconvenient, you might be able to say something like, I'd rather not say. Utilizing the ability to shut up is probably something that we all need to do. Keeping quiet, keeping things to ourselves, it it can come in handy sometimes. Let's look at one more example. And this one isn't so much a lie, but it's kind of utilizing what I was just talking about. It's more about being careful about how much of the truth you reveal. This is in 1 Samuel 16, verses 1 through 3. Now the Lord said to Samuel, "You have mourned long enough for Saul. I have rejected him as king of Israel. So fill your flask with olive oil and go to Bethlehem. Find a man named Jesse who lives there, for I have selected one of his sons to be my king." But Samuel asked, "How can I do that? If Saul hears about it, he will kill me." The Lord replies, "Take a heifer with you and say that you have come to make a sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you which of his sons to anoint for me." Samuel didn't lie in this story later on. When he approached Jesse, and they were fearful because Samuel's powerful, and they're like, why is it exactly that you're here? He tells them, "I'm here to make a sacrifice." He does not lie. And also, we see this kind of, I don't want to call it like a misdirection or deceitful, but I don't know. It's something. I don't know what word you would use for it. But he relies on this when it's another life or death situation, and not just trying to avoid an awkward situation. So now on to the second part. I said that I needed to cancel with my internet service and also pest control. So how did the pest control thing go? Well, I call them, tell them I need to close my account. They ask me why. I tell them I'm just trying to save a little bit of money, which was the truth. I mean, there's no point in having two pest controls. One of them needed to be canceled. Why would I pay for two? I want to save a little bit of money. I'm not disclosing that I have another service and that they're offering me this and or anything like that. It's just I'm canceling because I want to save some money. I was truthful. I was able to keep it simple. I didn't disclose every last detail. And that call lasted 2 minutes and like 30 seconds. I was amazed by it because it was super simple. We were about to get off. The lady on the other end was like, okay, yeah, I'll send this over and we'll get it handled. And I was like, do I need to do anything on my end? Or no, you're good. Okay. That was really, really easy. I was not expecting that. I was expecting another 20-minute phone call. But no, telling the truth, keeping it short, sweet, and to the point. And, you know, it took basically no time. So, point of the story, you don't always have to lie. Sometimes it might feel easier. But what we've, I hope, learned today is that God really does not like it. And short of saving lives, or I don't know, if you're on a mission for God and you're trying to do his will somehow, really doesn't like it. And it's really hard to justify. We try. I'm sure we all do. But there's a few things we can do to keep the truth and maybe still cut down on the awkward situations. That's all I got today. Thank you.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down